we are starting today's India Global Connect. So, the India Global Connect, organized by the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, in association with Ministry of Commerce and Industries, Government of India, and Ministry of External Affairs. This is the 8th webinar what we are doing, and this is the India Global Connect. Basically, the India Global Connect, what we do is, this is a platform we have created, an online platform. If you all remember that before, in earlier times, we used to take in delegation to different countries of our, people from the trade, our members from the trade, and we used to make the counterparts in the other countries. So after the pandemic, we have understood that traveling around in countries have become more difficult. So based on that, we have started this format where online, the two delegations of both the countries meet with the presence of the government of both the countries. And of course, in all those delegations or embassies where the prime, helpers for us and giving assistance, and they were the ones who used to host the delegations. And the same way, we have arranged and organized this delegation. Only thing here, what we are getting is that beyond these delegations, the entire trade community of both the countries can join in. So we open it up to our members of both the countries from the trade, so that they can also witness the discussion among the prominent members of the business community of our country and with the other country in question. Today, we are doing the India UAE, this Global Connect, where we have with us our Excellency Ambassador Mr. Pavan Kapoor, and we are very lucky to have him. And this is a very high profile, India Global Connect, because of course, UAE contributes to 40% of the total exports of gems and jewelry from India. And we also have with us Mr. Arulanandan. He is the director from the Gem and Jewelry Division of the Ministry of Commerce and Industries. We have with us Pauline Shah, our chairman, and in the presence of other dignitaries of trade from our country and UAE, we are starting this webinar with an address by His Excellency Sri Pavan Kapoor, Ambassador of India to UAE. He will be giving you a brief on the Indo-UAE bilateral trade and also the background on what this Global Connect is being held. Mr. Pavan Kapoor.
Thank you, Chairman and Secretary of the JJEPC, senior officials of the Government of India, representatives of Indian and UAE jewelry manufacturers and retailers, and dear friends. Namaste and Salam Alaikum. It gives me great pleasure to join this meeting on India's gems and jewelry sector. I'm happy to note that there is good participation by seniors, representatives from different gems and jewelry retail chains in the UAE. You just heard Mr. Ray talk about the importance of the gems and jewelry sector in trade and in exports from India to UAE. Some of you may be aware that India ranks first among the top exporters in the cut and polished diamond sector, and second in gold jewelry, silver jewelry, and lab-grown diamonds. India's gems and jewelry sector, export sector, which is one of the largest in the world, contributed 27% to global jewelry consumption in 2019. Now, India's relationship with UAE is a multifaceted one with wide-ranging engagements in many sectors. But trade and investment has always been a key pillar of this relationship. You may be pleased to learn that only yesterday, we have formally launched negotiations for a comprehensive economic partnership agreement between our two countries during the visit of the UAE Minister for Foreign Trade, Dr. Thani. This is a very significant development, and today the first round of negotiations was already held in Delhi. I am quite hopeful that we will see early results, which will have implications also for the gems and jewelry sector. Now, friends, the COVID-19 pandemic has severely affected our exports to the UAE, which witnessed a sharp decline during 2020-2021 of about 42%. And the gems and jewelry sector was no exception to this. In fact, it took a very large hit, and our exports to UAE in this sector fell by almost 70% last year. So we recognize the importance of this event to building on lost ground and taking the challenges head on. Now, most of you are probably aware of our Prime Minister's ambitious target of exports for this year at US dollar 400 billion. That's for the world as a whole. But for UAE also, we have an export target of $35 billion this year, of which almost $10 billion we want to achieve in gems and jewelry alone. So given what level we were down to last year, it's going to be a big challenge, but we are determined to work closely with all stakeholders to attain this ambitious target. As the gems and jewelry sector accounts for a third of all our exports to the UAE, we extend our full support to JJEPC in all their endeavors to promote exports in this sector in order to achieve this target. As I said, we are fortunate that we are also negotiating this, what we would call a CEPA, which is an FTA plus, a free trade agreement plus in other areas also, which should also help us. But we have to look at many other measures of trying to increase our exports and increase trade in this sector. Now, I'm sure that you're also aware that the International Gems and Jewelry Show 2021 is scheduled to take place in person in Dubai from 11th to 13th October 2021. That's just in another 3 weeks' time. This event will see the participation of more than 600 international buyers from 35 countries. You may also be aware that the Dubai Expo is also launching on 1st of October, a huge event which will bring in hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world. And this will also be in full swing at the point of the International Gems and Jewelry Show. So it will provide an ideal opportunity for our jewelry exhibitors and manufacturers to interact with business delegations of other countries and to have more B2B engagements. So I hope that today's meeting will provide all participants with a better understanding of the current business scenario and give them ideas in order to strategize how best not only to attain pre-COVID levels of trade, but even take them higher. I compliment the Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council for their continued efforts to promote India's gems and jewelry exports and wish all participants a very productive engagement in this virtual meeting. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, Your Excellency. That keeps a wide-angle view of the Indo-UAE trade, and we are fortunate that we are having this India-UAE Global Connect when the two governments are talking about the free trade agreement, and we know because we are also in discussion with the government of India that because gem and jewelry forms the bulk of the trade between the two countries. So we have everything to gain. Of course, we have already given our suggestions to the government of India, and I understand that the government of India, based on that, had a first round of meeting with the UAE government also, and we are very hopeful that it will be culminating into a very fruitful association. But before that, as you have said, sir, we are already launching this India Global Jewelry Show, where of course we have the partners also, the Golden Jewelry Group Dubai, their representatives are also present with us. So with everybody's presence, with your permission, Your Excellency, we want to launch the film on India Global Jewelry Show, IGJS in short, what we call. So the film will be played based on your permission. You will be launching it, sir. So may we launch the film, sir?
Please go ahead.
Thank you. That was the film which gives the background of the India Global Jewelry Show. That basically this ITJS gives you a wide angle view of our country's jewels. But of course, we are just, we have just completed the mega jewelry show of this part of the world, the IIJS, which was immensely successful with more than 1,300 exhibitors, more than 12,000 companies and 20,000 people. So it was really a great success what we hear from the exhibitors. We have just completed the show, and this is, in my opinion, other than the JCK USA, this is the only mega show which is happening across the world. Of course, Vichenda, etc., happening in a much smaller format, but this has happened in a very big format. And we are happy to inform you, sir, that we had a lot of buyers from UAE, and we have specially had an arrangement with the Karnataka government and the Indian government. A special notification came out where they have not faced any challenges when they were crossing the Indian airports. So that way they have done very good business, what we understand. So in the background of that, I would ask Mr. Arula Nandan, the Director of Ministry of Commerce and Industries, to say something about this India Global Connect initiative. They are the partners of the show, which is supported by the Ministry of Commerce and Industries.
Good evening, Mr. Sabyasachi. I'm indeed privileged to be invited to this show. Respected Pawan Kapoor, Indian Ambassador, and Colin Shah, Chairman, the Gems and Jewelry Council, and respected delegates. As you are aware that India's merchandise exports has witnessed a complete turnaround in this financial year starting from April 2021. And we know that the merchandise exports during the first quarter, commencing from April 2021, has been at 95 billion, which is a little less than double compared to the last year. And it is even higher by 18% compared to pre-COVID year. And it's a good news that gems and jewelry sector has been one of the key drivers behind the growth story. Now, regarding gems and jewelry exports from India, which was at just 2.5 billion during the quarter, April-June last year, has grown 3 times almost to around 9 billion. So, which in percentage terms, it is almost 266%. Dear delegates, you would agree with me that in order to revive demand and production and to boost the consumer sentiments, such events would be hugely beneficial to the business community. And I have been fortunate enough to be part of the India-Morocco Global Connect about a couple of months back. And I'm happy to learn that this is the 9th such global event after United Kingdom, Switzerland, Angola, Colombia, Oman, Singapore, Morocco, and Saudi Arabia. And there are much more in the offing. I think Hong Kong is in the next week. So that way, such an event is very significant, and it helps in the business networking meet and also to engage stakeholders from both countries to explore the business further. As each one of us are aware that UAE is India's 3rd largest trading partner. And with respect to gems and jewelry, it is one of the highest and one of the top export destination. And within gems and jewelry, as we know that gold jewelry, silver jewelry, then polished and lab-grown diamonds and imitation jewelry, apart from cut and polished diamonds, are the key products that are exported to UAE. On the contrary, India imports rough diamonds, gold dore bonds, and also rough lab-grown diamonds from UAE. And there are kind of complementary trade arrangement is there in the gems and jewelry sector. Dear delegates, at this juncture, I understand the bilateral trade between the two countries pertaining gem and jewelry has been, though adversely affected due to the pandemic. We are confident and certain that today's meeting would be very helpful to understand each other's concern, understand current economic, business, and consumer demand pattern, and foster ways and means to revive the demand between the two countries. And I take this opportunity to thank each one of you, especially the organizer, and I wish a grand success of today's event. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was, of course, again from the government side. That was, of course, it's very encouraging. And I can tell all of you that in our efforts to increase the trade between the world and India in terms of gems and jewelry, the Ministry of Commerce and Industries, especially the Gem and Jewelry Division, which is headed by our Joint Secretary and Mr. Arulanandan, the section, they're spearheading and they're always with us into whether it is changing the regulation, whether it's taking up issues with the foreign embassies or the foreign people. So that way, I think we are fortunate, and thank you, sir, for that, wholesome speech. So if we go ahead with the program, the background has to be set. The background can be set with a presentation of the industry and what we are looking at and how the industry is looking at and how the trade is looking at. So if that background is given in the right perspective, nowhere can be the right perspective than what we are in today. So I request our convener of the marketing committee, which we call Promotion, Marketing and Business Development Committee, Mr. Milan Choksi, to give the presentation on the India-UAE Global Connect.
Hi, everyone. Respected guests, I'm going to quickly, in the absence of our chairman, run you guys through the context of this virtual meeting. So as most of you would know, because India and the UAE have, the industry has been working closely, the GJEPC has a pivotal role in the industry. We are involved in several aspects, including the Kimberley process, forex generation for the government, and employment. So the GJEPC as a trade body is the primary and the most important body in the country for gems and jewelry. We're actually supported by the government and with the nodal body. This will give you a fair idea of India's rank in the global gems and jewelry industry. As everyone knows, cut and polished diamonds were ranked 1. In gold jewelry, our rank is 2. Silver jewelry also we're 2nd. We're ranked 5th in colored gemstones and 2nd in synthetic stones. So we have a primary position in almost, I mean, if you go to see holistically, the gems and jewelry industry, India is front and center in the gems and jewelry industry. So our ecosystem, which obviously the council, the Gem and Jewelry Council has a great role to play, is pretty robust for this industry. We have a wonderfully strong and skilled workforce. Our engineering ability, because of CAD/CAM and the supporting infrastructure with banks, makes us an ideal trading and sourcing partner. Sourcing for rough, gold, silver, along with the strength of our manufacturing centers and our strong B2B network, makes us an ideal source for products all the way from $10 to $1 million, probably $1 million for each item, on every front, including quality, certification, pricing. All these products are only now possible in India. Some of our infrastructure, such as SEZs, are a great place to manufacture product. This is essentially a snapshot of the current, in trade between India and the UAE, and as is evident, we're already enjoying a great relationship with the UAE, and we need to kind of further strengthen this. So obviously, through COVID, we had a little bit of a dip when it came to exports to the UAE, but that's what we need to fix through this conversation and all the initiatives that the council is planning to undertake along with the UAE. Another snapshot of different product categories and what we're doing in terms of business. These are the numbers. So going forward, the critical part is to kind of revive the bilateral trade between both countries, discuss the FTA framework, which could be designed, in the light of export complementaries of both the countries. So it can be a win-win for us. We on our side are hoping to kind of work on the 5% import tariff on gold, silver, platinum, jewelry, and also requesting the government of India to reduce the tariffs on import of gold and silver bars from 7.5 to 4%. Trade shows have been an extremely successful, format for trade to increase. So in this regard, we are hoping that we can, disseminate more information to the retailers and trade associations who may be interested in attending the show that we plan in October. And also, of course, we look forward to their support in getting visas for all the buyers from your region. Thank you.
Thank you, Milan Bhai. That, of course, that gives a very good background of what we are up to and what India is looking at, or of course, in this trade with UAE. And of course, as you have pointed out, right, that the exports to UAE, which was $8 billion, has gone down to $1.5 billion during this pandemic, which is, of course, a real stunning, result, which we have seen that which has gone down like that. So, but this year it is again reviving, and we are hopeful that it will revive back. We have all heard the ambassadors talking about that we have a target of $10 billion among the $400 billion what our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi has given to the export sector of India. The share of gems and jewelry sector has been given $47.3 billion. So among the $47 billion, we are looking at 10 billion between India and UAE. So the exports to UAE will be $10 billion. That is what is the target. And in the first 5 months, I can tell you, in the first 5 months till August, whatever it is going in the right path. We have already achieved around $16 billion. So we are off target to around 500 million only. We are now mapping month by month. So that way I'm talking about the whole, amount of $47 billion, we have already achieved some $16 billion, which is I think it's going in the right direction. So we are very hopeful and that this year we can achieve the target as set up by our Honorable Prime Minister. We have just, yesterday only we have finished the Banijya Saptah. That is the first, Banijya Utsav. What we are telling is that the 75 years of Indian independence, the celebrations are going on, and this week has been given to the Commerce and Industries Ministry. So based on that, we have throughout India, in all the states, 36 states, some Banijya Saptah, that means the business week is going on. And in that, yesterday and day before yesterday, we have been assigned, each Export Promotion Council has been assigned one state. So we have been assigned the state of Maharashtra. So in the last 2 days, we have very good interaction with the trade itself. There was brainstorming that how to reach these targets. And for your information, Maharashtra contributes to 60% of the total exports out of India goes out of the Bombay port. So that way, Maharashtra is very important for us. We are also, talking to Maharashtra government. We are talking to Gujarat government because, as again our ambassador has informed you that in Expo 2020, India has a very large participation. So each state has been given a specific time when they will promote the state in the Expo 2020. And again, with the states also, Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council will be engaged with that. Beyond that, IGGS will also be, of course, it is not tagged with that, but it will be happening at the same time to give a glimpse of the gem and jewelry trade from India. So that will be a great I think the curtain raiser for our industry. And of course, we have already got some 600 confirmations from top level buyers from in and around the world, which will be coming to Dubai to visit this fair. So thanks to the the embassy also for their very strong support. From the Dubai consulate, we have got a really strong support for doing this fair. And thanks also to the UAE government, who has given the permission to do this show. So with this background, now we would like to, of course, our chairman was supposed to give the presentation. My apologies, because the chairman, yesterday only we have been informed of a meeting of the Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister. Today he is in Bombay. So he has to be present in the 5:30 meeting with the minister, who is taking with the export sector the meeting. It was a sudden meeting which has come. So in any case, he has joined in, but maybe he will be dropping off some time to have the meeting with the Honorable Minister. So we'll be setting the context. So let us, just give you a glimpse that who are present in today's India Global Connect, this web meeting or the web delegation. So let us have that, the presentation. So we have with us, so can we have that slide? So we have with us, of course, we have heard Your Excellency, Mr. Pavan Kapoor. So he is the Indian ambassador to UAE. We have with us Sri Kalimuthu, who is the Consul Commerce of the Consulate General in Dubai. We have Mr. Urulanandan, who is the Director of Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Again, we have heard him. Mr. Colin Shah, he was there and he should be there now, but he may be dropping off anytime. We have with us Mr. Mansukh Kothari from Vasupati Jewellers. He is also the convener events. So this activity exactly comes under the event subcommittee of the council. We have with us Mr. K. Srinivasan of Emerald, Jewelry, who is also our convener of jewelry panel. We have with us Mr. Konal Doshi, who is from Modern Jewelry. He is again our co-convener of the jewelry panel. We have with us Mr. Milen Choksi. He has already given the presentation of Tanveer Kumar Diamonds. He is also the convener of the marketing committee. We have Mr. Dilip Shah from Big James. He is the convener of the International Exhibitions Committee. The International Exhibition Committee holds basically under the aegis of that committee, this IGGS will be held in Dubai. And we have with us Mr. Anish Birawa from Chain and Chains, a major exporter to UAE and also a member of our National Event Exhibitions Committee, under whom a very successful IIGS has happened just a few days back. And from the UAE side, in the UAE, we have with us Mr. Justin Sunny, who is from Joy Alucas Jewelry, again a large jewelry chain. They are also present in India, but they are also very much present in UAE and a big chain. We have Dr. Mutad Al Shwebi, who is from Salem Al Shwebi Jewelry from UAE. We have Chandu Bhai, Mr. Chandu Siroya. I think all of us know him. Nobody is better known to us than him. I think I know Chandu Bhai for maybe the past 20 years. So he is of course from the Gold and Jewelry Group also. So he has a lot of hats, but he also has the biggest hat, the Siroya Jewelers, the worldwide name. So thank you, Chandu Bhai, for joining. We have Mr. Ajay Mathur. Ajay, of course, has again a lot of hats are there, but today he is present as a bullion expert in the panel. He has, I think, very few people have that kind of experience in bullion than Ajay Mathur. Thank you, Ajay, for joining. We have Ramesh Bhai, Ramesh Bhora. He is our coordinator in the UAE for a long time, and he's the one for whom we are indebted to him to our expanding the reach of the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council in the entire Middle East. He is from Barclay Gold also. Of course, there's also one big jeweler in Dubai. we have Mr. Amit Damani. Again, Amit bhai, it's very pleasure to have you. You are a brand. Not only the Damani, the Diamonds is brand, but you itself are a brand. So thank you for joining today. And we have Mr. Arjun Dhanak of Kanj Jewels with us. So this makes the entire panel today. And I think this is no panel can be better than this, because I personally know that these are the panel who has the best of the experience in both India and UAE market. So if today India and UAE trade has to go forward, I think this is the panel which can brainstorm to see that how it can go forward. And of course, as they all heard, we are today in the background of a very, very important India-UAE FTA. See, we as a council also are pitching very hard for this FTA, in our opinion, if it happens, because for us, Dubai is the foothold for the entire market till Russia. All of our, because as a Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, we are having 7,000 members. Most of the members are looking at the Dubai as a gateway to have a reach not only in the GCC, the Middle East, the Northern African countries, or the entire African countries. They are also looking at till the Eastern Europe and the Central Asia, all those countries. So that way, Dubai has its own importance, and I can proudly say that, in my opinion, we have, with Dubai, most probably, at least in gems and jewelry, we are the largest investors. Whether you see Almas Towers or whether you see the Gold Souk, Well, that way we are also proud. We have just now been joined by Mr. Kunal Doshi. He is the co-convener, as I have already told. Kunal bhai, welcome. So I start with basically an interaction will happen now. I'll take up some questions which will be answered by your panel, and that will give a background to the other people that how the market is behaving, what we are looking at in future. So I start my interaction with Mr. Kunal Doshi of Modern Jewelry. So our question is very, of course, Kunal bhai, you're also in the Gold Jewelry Panel Committee for a long time of the council, and of course you're one of the major exporters to UAE from India of plain gold jewelry. So in the recent past, as we have already seen, that the exports to UAE has declined, at least in gems and jewelry, from $8 billion in 1920 to $1.5 billion in 2021. Of course, that is a sharp drop. And what do you think by when the market will come back? We have seen that it's coming back, but in your opinion, what are the factors which can bring it back, and what you are looking at? Because I think from your experience, you can tell us, Mr. Kunal Doshi. You have to, you are in mute, Kunal bhai. You have to take out that mute.
Am I audible now?
Yes, please.
Good evening to His Excellency, fellow delegates, ED Chairman. Thank you for inviting me today. The India-UAE has a very cordial relation, very strong relation for the past so many years. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we saw a lot of international flights getting cancelled, being not operating, and that has affected badly the incoming tourist trade into UAE, as well as forwarding traffic from UAE to other GCC countries. So the trade with India is basically for self-consumption in UAE, plus for further business to other GCC countries and other places where, because of the strategic location of Dubai and the way they are functioning, they're able to do the business in the number of ways in which the jewelry trade demands. And UAE is strategically placed to do that business. That's why they were getting the business. The reason for the fall is basically the non-operational of flights into Dubai last year, plus almost no tourists coming, because Dubai functions on tourists. People go for a short weekend and they buy something. That has not happened. And lastly, because of the COVID thing, the visas were not being granted. So on forward trade, which was happening from India to GCC, to say Saudi Arabia, to Turkey, or to US, UK, which was going through Dubai, has been affected last year. But this year, since things are coming back to normal and hopefully we don't see the third wave hitting us very soon, or not at all, if I can be bullish about it. So I think we can easily achieve at least the turnover of 8 billion, if not more, because we are looking at the completion of this first 6.5 year this year, and I think the Dubai turnover has already increased, and going forward with Expo 2020, with the exhibitions coming up, with all the other countries in the nearby location opening up, we are very positive about doing the turnover with Dubai. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kunal bhai. So let me move to one of the big retailers in UAE, Justin Sunny. So Mr. Justin Sunny, so I would ask you, as you have heard, of course, we all understand that the flights are not operating, the tourists are not there. Dubai, as it is a gateway, the distribution center, it was not operating that well. So, in your opinion, because this question we have found out very, we have done India Global Connect with Saudi Arabia also. So we'll be doing in very short future with Qatar also. So what we are finding, the preferences of consumers for jewelry has changed. It's a very strange thing. Of course, we have found it out when we have done with Singapore also. The preferences of the consumers of jewelry on ground in the retail level has gone through a change due to this pandemic. So I'd like to, hear from you, being a retailer, that what is your experience on this? Whether there is any change, or what is the change, in which direction the changes are?
Thank you very much for the invitation for this panel section. And our experience was during this pandemic, then I can segregate in 4 stages. Lockdown time, actually the people was doing homework. It's a normal customer, they have some jewelry, they are facing a lot of issues, financial issues. And after relaxation in the lockdown, each country customers' view perspective is totally changed. They are ready to buy. The initial stage, a lot of inquiry happened for the gold selling. They want to change to as a cash. They want to sort out their issues. They realize this is the end of the world. At the earliest, they want to sell the gold and consolidate and make large liquidity. Then we received a lot of calls from the customer angle for selling gold. Initially, relaxation when received, those time we arranged cash each outlet because that much calls we are received. When people came to the store, that time the partial operation, each outlet may be 4 hours, 6 hours. Those time the people came with appointment and they weighing their jewelry and what is their jewelry value. And finally they decided this is the apt investment. Anytime easily they can change as a cash. And basically 2-3% people they sold their jewelry and they utilized what is their requirement. Somebody have loan or some other requirements, job loss. But finally, majority of them, they concluded they don't want to sell. Any point of view, they can sell the cash. They realized this is the main change, transformation. After vaccination, the people received more confident, and luckily the gold price happened down, and this was more supportive to the market. The normal people came as a rush. The jewelry was not available at that time. basically, Mr. Kunal mentioned the air traffic was blocked. At the same time, the wholesale is not much, the stock was not available. There was a hungry for the jewelry, basically from India. All, especially UAE was open, and this region, even Singapore or America was open. That time, the Indian market, even factory was closed, and the bullion shortage, several aspects. But basically, I can conclude this question. There is no change in the demand. As a customer, still they are ready to buy the jewelry. Especially, there is no problem with any lightweight or heavyweight. All the segment are ready to buy. We have good market. Once for now, even bubble package, through the bubble package, the transportation is now open. Even tourist visa granted. Especially, if we can complete our export, the pending exports, definitely the market will support. Definitely, the customers are very much realized this is the right investment. They can use the jewelry at the same time. Any critical situation easily within a day they can convert as a cash. So there is no change according to the demand or the design wise.
Thank you, Sunny Bhai. That was really, it was just, I can tell that, a journey through pain, basically from 18 months. And what you have told, in this part of the world, it was always there, that investment, that jewelry was a medium of investment. But in recent times, with affluence coming in, with new, Western cultures coming in, we have seen that, of course, that investment was changing to style, fashion, etc. So what you are telling is that this pandemic again have brought back to the people that, okay, this is the best medium of investment. So the investment quotient of jewelry has increased, what we have understood, what you are telling. And we understand, of course, with the Indian factories closing in, after that, when again the pandemic was withdrawn, then the jewelry was not available at the store. So this is, I can tell that a chronicle of a painful period. We hopefully, as you are telling, that we are out of this. Let us, and Kunal Bhai and you both are telling that we are out of this, and we all hope that we are out of this, and the happy old days are here again. And with the investment quotient, I think the gold jewelry will be seeing uptick, an upturn. So now we go to the other side of the spectrum. Of course, this we are talking about plain gold jewelry, understand. Now we have with us Milan Bhai, Milan Choksi, who is of course dealing in studded jewelry. And studied, and of course he and Amit Bhai comes from the same jargon, that is the couture side of the story. So let us hear from Milan Bhai that if you are exporting to UAE, so what is your experience basically? Of course, we have heard the experience of the last 18 months, but the journey of the studded gold jewelry, how it is, or maybe the expensive ones, how it is. So if you can say something about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing business with UAE and retailers there for a while. Some of them are on this panel. Our journey so far has actually been, very smooth. It's been amazing to work with most of them, and even in terms of cultural similarities, ease of doing business, access, the market. It's been phenomenal, and it's been growing through the years. And I think going forward, there's a lot more that we can do. I mean, via UAE, we can access the entire region, and there's plenty of business still to be kind of taken, and in fact grown. If we collaborate better with members of the trade from the UAE, I think business can grow substantially for all kinds of jewelry, as I mentioned earlier. But particularly fine jewelry, I think India is now getting to a point where we're able to manufacture jewelry that can compete with some of the other nations in terms of high design. So I think that business is up for grabs, and if we just step up, I think there's plenty of potential.
Thank you, Milan Bhai. So that of course, just in a nutshell, you have spoken about of course how the studded jewelry is behaving, and I understand that the market is growing every day, and the way the Forever Mark or the De Beers are promoting, and with Natural Diamond Council also promoting, we hope that this market will also increase. But that brings us to the question, because India is a powerhouse of manufacturing of diamonds. So I will now go, because we understand that Dubai, of course, they have DMCC, the largest of the diamond players in the world, and in India are sitting there, but they come from a seller's market. So we also want to understand the buyer's market of the stones in UAE. So for that, I would like to go to Dr. Mutaz Al Suebi from Salim Al Suebi Jewelry. My question to you is that cut and polished diamonds are also imported by UAE. So in your opinion, we need to understand, or rather we need to understand that the loose stones, how they are used in UAE market. That means what is the type of manufacturing, how much manufacturing, and how much buying happens of loose stones for the UAE and the adjacent markets.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. This is me, Mu'taz Al-Shaibi from Salim Al-Shaibi Jewelry. I would like to, first of all, welcome His Excellency Mr. Prabhu for attending this event, and everyone, all the delegates. So, from my point of view, regarding the diamonds and the real diamonds, I would call them zircons or other different stones, supply or demand. First of all, I would like to thank India and the UAE. We have a good cooperation in terms of jewelries. It has been a history now for 40 or 50 years of demand and supply. Actually, we are importing the largest import in the region, I believe, in terms of jewelry. And this is because Dubai have a good free policies for the trade. This has encouraged all the big companies in India to come and to settle in Dubai in terms of important jewelries. And based on that, I would say the demands always will increase in both way, real diamonds or zircons. Each of them in Dubai, we have different hubs, since we are one of the largest hubs, and then we have different consumers. And whenever the price of diamond, the real diamond increases, this is given the opportunity for the loose diamonds to grow as well, because not everyone would have the access to buy a real diamond or the loose diamonds. So this is the point of view. I would always say that there is a demand for all the different sectors here in UAE. And we saw this after the COVID-19 opened and the release of the trades start to begin, and all countries try to come, and there we saw the growth back again in the jewelry sector. After a close of 5-6 months, and the supply, the shortage in supply from India have actually lead to increase in gold price also, and increase in the diamond price as well. The diamond price also reached 10-20% higher in this time of the year. So this is also will give the loose diamond more opportunity to growth as well, because people will instead buy a diamond as a retailer, hire the other thing. And also there is an important point here also, that the free policy in Dubai for the wholesale, there is no VAT 5%. That's actually will benefit to lower the cost and do more trading for the whole world. So keeping those kind of policies as a free policies between India and Abu Dhabi, and UAE market, will encourage more traders to come and more consumers, people to come and buy from UAE. That's regarding this your question. I hope I answered it well.
Thank you, Dr. Mutaz Al Suebi. I think this is the insight is very important. What you have given is that one is the access to diamonds. What you are trying to say is that access to diamonds previously were not there, but which has increased over the years.
Yes.
And one of the things what you are, of course, that we were also following the same, that the very important regulatory change by the government of UAE has brought, that means that will, in future, make UAE the right kind of hub for all types of retailers and the local, traders to buy their diamonds from UAE. That is a very interesting observation. And with this observation, we go to Chandu Bhai. It's a very it's a very unusual question for Chandubai, because Chandubai, whenever we meet, of course, we talk about Indian plain gold jewelry. He can go on, throughout the day talking about that. And I think nobody has that kind of experience what he's having. He has both the Indian side and the UAE side. So I would like to ask you about colored gemstone. Of course, you can have a continuation of what Dr. Shwebi has told just now, that if we are talking about the availability of diamonds, and down we go to colored gemstones basically, we understand that the world has also become colorful also with the jewelry, with designer jewelry, people also try to find in color. So in your opinion, if we are talking about the Dubai being the hub for the entire, Middle East for this kind of stones, whether it's diamond or colored gemstone, because we understand that the DMCG was created for that, but generally it remained of sourcing of roughs, etc. Now we are talking about people buying from there, retailers buying from there, what Dr. Shwebi has told. So what is your opinion about the colored gemstones, that is also gemstones, that means diamonds and then colored gemstones? You are on mute, Chandubai. The voice is not coming somehow. Still it is not coming up. Chandubai, something in your, some technical issue. No, not coming.
Chandubai, just check your just check your earphone if it's plug in properly or not, Chandubai.
We can come back, Chandubai, just with this technical issue, if you solve it, then we can come back. So, of course, we do not want to miss you, Chandubai. So, next I go to Anish. Anish has a very important question, because we just now had talked about the regulatory change in UAE. That change we are talking about now. There, once about VAT, we have understood for diamond there is a very key change in VAT, which is come. So what we are talking, UAE has imposed a VAT of 5% in 2018. Did such imposition of taxes impact your exports to UAE in terms of reduced price competitiveness? Though I think that VAT has no relation to that. I think you were meaning the import duty, because of course VAT is applicable both to for everybody. So competitiveness, if you are talking about, the local jewelers also have to give a VAT, and if you are exporting, you also have to give a VAT. So if you may clarify that whether your exports have suffered due to the imposition of 5% import duty and then 5% VAT, and if it has suffered, in what way it has suffered?
Good day, Edie. Warm regards to everybody. Edie, am I audible? The sound is okay?
Yes, of course.
Okay, yeah. So Edie, Dubai as a strategically has a lot of variety of ways to deal with businesses, and Dubai has enjoyed a fantastic position as a global gems and jewelry hub. With the introduction of VAT, what has happened is the end user at the retail level, their costs have increased. So that's there. As far as exports are done, what has impacted is the import duty that of 5%, which is now imposed for across gems and jewelry in Dubai. So 5% import duty and 5% VAT effectively turns out to be a 10% on the end consumer, which is effectively, indirectly would impact the end consumer buying sentiments in the local. Obviously, when Dubai re-exports, or it does not have an effect. The local consumption have definitely got impacted with this high cost of buying. So whenever, I guess we have mentioned that the end consumer who used to go on the weekend and buy jewelry from Dubai, that's where it has impacted. And across the years, Dubai's regulations have been refined in a way wherein, Dubai was always a tax-free region, and slowly and steadily, that strategically Dubai position is now on a bit compromised way. I'm sure Chandubai or Ramesh Bhai would get more clarity on this. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Anish Bhai. So
Sabyasachi bhai, I am back online. Can you hear me?
I have got that. So I'm just coming to you, Chandu Bhai. So what we were discussing, that is exactly the gemstone. And after gemstone, if you can also throw some light on what Anish has told.
I will do that. Okay. First of all, very good afternoon and thank you for having me here. I think the colored gemstones is or has been selling in the Middle East region for a long, long time. I believe the Arabs like the emerald stone very much. They like the ruby and the sapphire. These three stones have always been sold, and as I'm sure Dr. Mutez will agree with me, Dr. Shoaib, he will agree with me. Color stones has been always a part of our jewelry line. The wholesale of color stones has also been a very big business in Dubai. You rightly said the DMCC was started for everything, and then it started concentrating on the diamonds. But there have been a lot of tenders on color stones also, so they have become active in that. And the emeralds which we buy, many of them do pass through the Dubai markets. So overall, you are absolutely spot on when you say that the jewelry is today becoming more colorful, and a lot of zircon and other semi-precious and even I would say imitation stones are used in jewelry to make it look colorful, because that is the only way in which I believe we can attract our youth. The biggest challenge which we are facing is to retain the attention of the youth towards our trade, and I believe the colors add a lot of value to the demand of the youth. So I believe, yes, if done correctly, the color stones can be a very big, I would say, they can play a very big role in the popularity of jewelry itself and also in the trade of the color stones in Dubai. I think it will become very good. Regarding what Anish said, the VAT and the impact of the VAT, yes, definitely the cost has gone up. But I would still like to point out that Dubai is still a very preferred place for people to buy jewelry for two more reasons. One is we are still, after the 10% increase in the cost, also, we are still one of the best places to buy jewelry, because here the jewelers in UAE, what they have done is they have adopted the principle of low margins and high turnovers. So I do believe that still you will find one of the best prices in the world. Plus, see, we are in a very unique position. We are home to almost over 198 nationalities. So the jewelers here have tuned their marketing skills, their skills for getting the jewelry to the likes and dislikes of all these nationalities. So this is a unique market in which you will find 14 karat jewelry, 18 karat jewelry, 21, 22 jewelry appealing to almost every nationality. And that is the unique USP of Dubai, because whatever you can think of, you will be able to find it in Dubai. Now, coming to our Indian exports, I think Indian exports have been doing fantastic. We have been catering to a lot of variety of jewelry. It is not only traditional Indian jewelry right now, which is imported from India. We import a lot of gold and diamond jewelry. We import a lot of stone-studded jewelry. So I think the jewelry markets and the trade between India and UAE can only go up. We have seen the worst. It is behind us. And hopefully, as was mentioned, that we don't get a third wave, we are on the path of recovery, and I'm sure we will have a very, very robust year.
Thank you, Chandu-bhai. That inshallah, I can only say, and looking at the future. So now, that is a great insight, and when it comes from you, we all should believe it. So now we go to Ajay. Ajay, what, in your opinion, are there any challenges now? Because see, India and UAE trade in gems and jewelry is like water. What we see that we are every day we're trying to see. What I think from the government side of both the countries, they are trying to do is that at any cost make this, this connection just like the freest possible, the simplest possible, and the trade will grow automatically. as Chandu has told, I also believe that the opportunity are huge. Both the trading communities are gung ho about both the countries, and only the facilitation should be there. So based on that, my simple question is that are there any challenges for UAE importers when they import from India? What are the challenges they face?
Right. Thank you, Sabyasachi. It's indeed an honor to be part of this esteemed panel. Thank you for inviting me over. Coming back to your question, and before I try to answer this question, I'd like to say that in the background, all the speakers who have mentioned about the growth in terms of the volume of business between UAE and India, and like Chandu said, it's only on an upward trajectory. I definitely subscribe to that view. In terms of the historical and cultural relations between UAE and India, and the commercial relations that we have had, especially in the gems and jewelry segment, this is a link that can only get stronger. At the same time, there's always a room for improvement. We always have to look for areas where we can improve. And if you look at some of the weaknesses that we can perhaps address in some way or the other, that will help trade on both sides, both in the UAE as well as in India. So some of the challenges that the industry faces here is a direct economic impact would be, say, VAT and the customs duty. Yes, 10% in the UAE, that makes the landed cost of jewelry here higher, and makes it a little uncompetitive. That is one. Then, at the operational level, and having spoken to a cross section of people in the industry, there are certain nitty-gritties of how the jewelry trade works and how the cost is arrived at, which is very important for one's understanding. And then there are also policy-related issues, that one faces on a day-to-day basis. So I'll quickly go over some of them. One is in terms of the making charges, for instance. So making charges from India are usually based on the percentage of wastage, and calculated on the total cost. So total landed cost in India, which includes the customs duty and the taxes, which works out to around 12.5%. Now, what happens is the entire wastage percentage is based on the total value of the jewelry being exported on the landed price of gold or the jewelry in India. So what makes it more expensive is the fact that if the making charges are, say, 3% on an average on the jewelry, then they are not just paying it on the gold price, they're paying it on the landed cost, which is 12.5% more. So they are paying 3% of 12.5% extra, which is around 0.5% more. So that is something that affects them in terms of the landed cost. Then another factor from the manufacturer's point of view is when manufacturers in India get their gold, and when they export, they get the benefit of getting the customs duty back. But that happens after a period of time. But in the meantime, their working capital is blocked. That results into additional costs for them, which then gets built into the making charges when they supply jewelry to the people in the UAE. So for the UAE importers, the landed cost becomes that much higher. So these are the direct economic impacts. In addition to that, there are certain policy-related matters that affect the trade here between UAE and India. For instance, there is no gold for gold payment system between UAE and India. So Indian regulations don't permit an importer of Indian jewelry in Dubai to make payment in gold itself. So which means that I think it can only be done by certain 5-star trading houses in India. And but there are very few such players in the market, and your trade is not restricted to those 5-star trading houses alone. So then if this is allowed, then manufacturers will then not depend on only the local banks over there. Then they will get their working capital directly from the buyers here in the UAE. So that is one area. The other is the import of gold in India is only through banks and certain agencies like MMTC, STC, etc. And there are no international bullion banks in India. The local banks are not as supportive of this business as international banks have been in the past. So it is affecting the people in India, the manufacturers in India, in terms of their access to gold and at the competitive price. And that is again impacting the landed cost of jewelry here for the UAE importers, and that increases their cost. So this is a challenge for them. Again, Indian rules don't allow manufacturing on a job work basis. So if the importer in UAE wants to have jewelry on a job work basis from an Indian manufacturer, that is not permitted. So that again is a challenge that needs to be overcome. And all of these small factors are affecting the trade between the two countries. Another factor that I would like to mention is that as per Indian rules, the minimum value addition in jewelry should be 4%. Now, the majority of the jewelry could be 2 to 3% levels. So there may not be a 4% value addition in jewelry. Then what does the exporter in the manufacturer in India do? Either he's not able to sell to, either he's not able to export to the UAE importer, even though there is demand, or then he has to over invoice. So why should that be in place? There should be a simpler way of handling these matters. So these are some of the ongoing operational things which if addressed can significantly improve the trade between the two countries, in my view. Thank you.
Ajay, I understand. See, these are all teething issues. What I think both of us are working together. We understand that what you say that due to this, bottleneck, infrastructure bottlenecks, or maybe regulatory bottlenecks, rather, to coin it rightly, the cost of raw material for the exporters is becoming higher, and that is making the cost of procurement of UAE jewelers more. What you wanted to tell, of course, all these issues, whatever you pointed out, we are working with the Indian government. In fact, we have a meeting tomorrow also. So let us hope that we come out of the steering challenges, but we require some, now some revolutionary solution, because always it's a cat and mouse game, because we understand there are a lot of things which is happening, may not be the right perspective, and because of the revenue officials are not taking it. So let us hope that it comes out. But yes, these are what you have pointed out, absolutely right challenges. So with that, I would like to ask Mr. Srinivasan, who is there. Mr. Srinivasan is, of course, one of the largest manufacturers in India. He has a background of manufacturing. He has also his trading office in Dubai itself. So it will be a very important perspective to have from him, that based on how the business is proceeding, that with the India UAE trading of gems and jewelry, what is your opinion that? How do you want to expand? Do you want to expand? If you want to expand, what are the ways that you want to expand? And what is your opinion about this trade business?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I am confident that business between India and UAE will grow. Once we address a few problems, I am confident 100% it will grow. The problem is actually, see, India is a manufacturing country, and UAE is actually a lot of refining. They are manufacturing gold bars and all. See, actually, without we depend upon import only. So actually, if they do ease of business, I think both countries understands and address our problem. I think our business will be manifold. See, what we are expecting is actually that 5% duty. That duty should be bring down to zero. That's what expectation of the industry. And actually, see, when we are importing gold from Dubai, that customs duty should be, instead of 10%, it should be 4%, something like that. Then ease of doing business will be there. Definitely, we can expand the business in a very big level, because that UAE, there is a great demand for gold jewelry. And now we have seen in the recent concluded exhibition also, they have placed big orders. So once both the government understands and address our practical problems, I am confident this business will go many-fold. Thank you very much, GT.
Thank you, Srinivasanji. And of course, if it comes from you, we are very hopeful, because you, Anish, all these people are, heading the future, of the mechanized jewelry in India and gold jewelry. So that way, if you are talking about that, of course, we are very confident that the future is bright. And of course, everybody is telling the future is bright. I go to Ramesh Bhai because Ramesh Bhai has seen a lot with the council. Ramesh Bhai, one thing we want to understand, because as we all are saying that, okay, Dubai acts as a distribution center for the entire Middle East, as we are told, the Central Asia. So in your opinion, who are the main buyers, both in B2B level and B2C level? What is the market about Dubai? That will, in your opinion, how much is Dubai buying and how much is the outside buying and where is it going? You're on mute, Ramesh Bhai. Ramesh Bhai, you're on mute.
You can't allow it. Host has to.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Sabishaji. You mean from UAE to re-export to other country?
Of course, Dubai is acting as a distribution center and trading center. We understand that Dubai also sends a lot of jewelry to other countries. So, in your opinion, how much of this is going outside and how much is consumed in Dubai?
I think locally consumed is only 10%, 90% actually just we export to other country. If you want to the name, I can give you step by step all the names. So where we are.
Now, that 90%, what in your opinion, where it is going and which are the major players?
Yeah. So first, GCC country, it means Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, and Qatar. Then from here, Middle East, Egypt, Jordan, Yemen, Iraq, then USA, UK, Germany. After that, Far East, Hong Kong, Philippines, and Australia. And majority going to Africa also. So in Africa, it is Nigeria, Niger, Senegal, Mali, Tanzania, little bit, Ghana. So this all country actually just from Dubai, we re-export to this all the country. Plus Indian subcontinent. So we supply from here to Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Nepal, and Bangladesh. So this all country actually just we re-export from UAE to this country.
There is a big list, Ramesh Bhai, and it is no surprise that Dubai has been the 40% of Indian exports go to Dubai because they act as a distribution center. So, and in fact, the entire gold jewelry goes like this. And India also, there are major wholesaling centers from where it goes to the interior part of India. The same way, I think Dubai is acting as the main wholesale centers of all these countries, whatever you have told. Thanks for this information. I would now like to ask, Mr. Arjun Dhanak, that see, we understand nowadays, all these, of course, all we are talking about the physical trading, and Dubai is in the forefront of this. Now, how much, in your opinion, is now becoming or going online or becoming online trading, both in B2B and B2C? In your opinion, how much of it is going now online? What is the trend?
Hello, first of all, thank you for the invitation to the panel and warm regards to everyone from the trade. If we're talking about the percentage, I can't give you an exact, obviously, number on it. But if we just compare the trend pre-COVID and the current situation we are in at the moment, I would say that there is definitely a very strong increase in the online sales that we see personally. To be honest, our own website and our own online was not as established as it was pre-COVID, but we do realize that there is, a strong demand, and due to the restrictions in travel as well, we see a lot of people visiting our website from all around the world, and we see a lot of people wanting to buy online. And that's a good sign for us because we do realize that as many of you have pointed out, it is not the demand which is a problem at the moment. The issue is just the movement. So there is, I think, a very strong demand from India. There's a strong demand from parts of Europe, Australia, the US. And the only issue at the moment is the movement is not as freely, it's not as easy as it is before the pandemic. So I think we are hoping that there will be some, hopefully a better increase in the online.
Dhanak, it's of course I understand that how the online sales is going. That it gives through some light. Now I go to one another.
Sanjay, can I add something here?
Yes, please, Chandu.
Okay. You see, in the online trade, there has been a multiple growth in Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. These two markets have seen amazing growth in all online sales. I'm not talking about only jewelry. Jewelry, we do not have specific figures, but the online sales in these two countries have actually multiplied. I read somewhere, and I stand corrected, but it is more than 8 to 10 times what it was in 2018. So the online markets are growing, and the jewelry also, for items which are less than $1,000, $1,500, there is impulsive buying online also happening, and we see that happening right now.
No, Chandubai, you are right, because we were doing that, India Global Connect with Saudi Arabia. For me, of course, it was a real news. What just now you are telling, Al Rumaydan was telling that with this, pandemic, because they are telling that, smaller groups are meeting and they are preferring lightweight jewelry. In Saudi Arabia, lightweight jewelry is something. Just now, what you are telling is substantiating that fact. Then Saudi Arabia going with the human going with lightweight jewelry is the news. And of course, this substantiate this news, whatever you are saying. That means the online buying is going on and they are buying those type of jewelry.
Yes.
So this is, of course, this is a great, insight. So from there, I would like to go to another, of course, the doyen of that Kutu trade, Mr. Amit Damani. So, Mr. Damani, it's a very important question to you. Is that in the world is changing fast, and this, this pandemic has changed it further. We are talking about something, everything, wherever we are talking about sustainability. In everything, we are talking about sustainability. Whether you procure gold, whether you sell jewelry, you procure stones, everywhere. Now, in your type of jewelry where you sell, where the customer, affluent customers, at least in the western part of the world, they will not buy or touch anything which do not have the sustainability in everything, whether it's environmental, labor rights, procurement, money laundering, everything. So here in your part of the world, as you experience, because you run one of the high-end stores in Dubai, what is the trend in terms of this standardization and sustainability?
Thank you, Sabyasachi ji. Nice to see you. And hello to everyone and excellencies. It's a pleasure to be part of this panel. Sabyasachi ji, the interesting question and answer is UAE, they have a already inbuilt dynamics, which is part of the process of UAE government to enable the growth of trade and customer confidence. So Dubai municipality is one authority which is actively involved in looking at standardization and certification of products which are sold in the market. At the same time, Dubai is a signatory and earlier chair of Kimberley process for diamonds, and at the same time, World Gold Council, all the global bodies which we can name, Dubai have signed on to all the various global best practices, including CIBJO. And industry is, with the guidance and support of the government, is very much self-regulated in terms of the quality, value to the customers, at the same time, the sustainability and fair product, fair trade practices, and the manufacturing. So it's a combination. I always say to people, it's a combination of public-private partnership in which government and the private sector work hand in hand to apply the global best policies and principles through regulation, which is very much accepted and adopted by the industry leaders. There is no compulsion and force. There is a regulation, and all the industry, and especially Gold and Jewelry Group and DMCC kind of bodies, they make a note that all the industries align to those processes and policies. And this is where you see the growth of Dubai's business, and one of the reasons why we have one of the biggest partners of India, because it provides that comfort and platform to every customer from the world.
Thank you. Amit bhai, I think that what we hear is that of course Dubai has its own standards of, of course they are aligned to the world in terms of all kinds of standards. And of course we all know that whether it is Dubai Good Delivery or KP, everywhere. So that way of course Dubai is aligned to this sustainability index wherever we are going. And that is again good news because ultimately everything, if it passes through Dubai, if they are the distribution center, they will be in the forefront in all these kind of things whenever it comes. So I would like to now go to Dilip bhai, because we have seen that we have launched the film and we are, we have heard about that. Do you think that the forthcoming B2B trade show in Dubai would help in achieving the objectives of reviving? Because we have seen that IIS has revived in India in a huge way. So do you think that it will achieve the objectives of reviving at least the demand from our part of the world to that part of the world?
Yeah, hi Sabyasachi, thank you very much for giving the opportunity. Definitely, I strongly believe that it is going to help to achieve the objective of reviving exports, business sentiment, and consumer demands in the UAE market. The global gem and jewelry market is showing tremendous recovery. There is a pent-up demands across all the product categories. Also, the onset of the festive season will further propel the demands. Buyers from Middle East, UK, USA, Africa, Russia, CIS, and SAARC countries are showing great interest. The timing of IGJS Dubai could not have been better, especially since this would be the first physical international B2B jewelry show in Dubai, UAE. IGJS show is exclusively for the international buyers, where you could witness the best jewelry manufacturers from India. Here we have the best manufacturers catering to the international market. The IGJS show has 100 booths who are manufacturers of gold-studded jewelry, diamond-studded jewelry, gold jewelry, diamond-studded jewelry, and loose stone and color stone. And we have over 600 international buyers are going to visit. They already have registered for the event from 35 countries. So it would be great opportunity to network and engage with people from across the world in the city of gold after such a long time. I welcome you all to visit IGJS and witness our capabilities and skill in manufacturing world-class product. Thank you, Sabyasachi.
Thank you, sir. So now I go to Mansukh bhai, because we are, of course, time is the essence. But Mansukh bhai, I want to see one very important question. Both the groups is the FTA, the India UAE FTA. What we hear from the government is that they will complete this FTA by this March. So what is the importance of this FTA and what, in your opinion, which direction it should go?
Thank you and good evening to everyone. I think the proposed FTA with the UAE government will have a positive impact on the Indian gem and jewelry export, as the UAE is the main gateway to the entire Gulf region. Middle East already is among the top 3 markets for Indian gem and jewelry. And the UAE typically accounts to 20% of India's annual gem and jewelry exports. If UAE abolish import duty on gem and jewelry export from India, then we can expect the business to go exponentially very well. Thank you.
Thank you. I think here, of course, I'll go off my track and I will ask also Chandu from that side, because nobody knows it better than him, because he's also heading that gold and jewelry group. So Chandu bhai, I want to hear from you that what is the opinion from the UAE side of this FTA?
You see, we've not had any meetings with the government, but definitely in UAE, definitely we would be very happy to welcome any FTA agreements with India. But I would like to put a word of caution here. You see, India has had FTAs with many countries, and every time the FTAs have failed because some of us have taken advantage and imported gold bullion from countries which don't even produce gold bullion, and to the tune of tons and tons and hundreds of tons. So I would say a pragmatic FTA where the jewelry business is enhanced by free customs from both sides on the labor component, definitely. And UAE, since the gold import is already free of duty, the pure gold, maybe 100% exemption can be given. If a pragmatic approach is done, then it can become a long-standing FTA and it will benefit both the countries. So we will have to be very, very careful in what we are desiring and what we are doing. If we are going to demand that the FTA should have duty-free import of gold and gold jewelry both, it is not going to work out. If we say that the import should be free of duty for all gold, then people will make the minimum making charges, bangles or whatever, and export to India. And again, it will be exploited. So we have to be very careful on what is being desired. If we set our desires right, then I think it will be fantastic and a win-win situation for both the countries, because the trade can go to a different level.
Thank you, Chandu. That is great insight, because of course we are also talking with the government, and from your side, of course, we have not talked, I think, but I know that the government are talking. So let us have a very pragmatic approach, as you have told, into this issue, because we understand it has a huge potential of affecting the trade in the positive or negative way both. So it will depend upon how you coin it or how you term it. There is now, I go to Dr. Mutaz Al-Shuaibi, because we have heard about the natural diamonds, because there is a kid in the block and it is growing fast, and it is, in our opinion, in India, we are looking at it in a huge way for increasing exports to the next level. So in your opinion, what about the lab-grown diamonds, and what is the jewelry? What is the type of trading which is happening in lab-grown diamonds and the trading of lab-grown diamond jewelry in UAE? No, I think his screen has frozen. So sorry. Dr. Shuaibi, you are on mute. Can you just come out of the mute?
Yeah. Hello. Hi there.
Thank you.
Say again. Sorry for that. Sorry.
Yes, we are talking about the lab-grown diamonds and the jewelry. How is the demand in UAE, and what is the trading that is happening? Whether it is happening, or if it is happening, that how much is the trading of lab-grown diamonds?
See, for the past 6 months, I would say we had a good. The past 6 months, we had a good demand in the jewelry sector. I mean, especially in diamonds as well. But we can see there is a growth both in zircons or in real diamonds. But however, we cannot say this is a demand, or this is because after the COVID-19, people start doing events, jewelries, attending ceremony. I think we want to be very patient when we say there is a growth in the last year. We need to take a special look to the second year after 2022, if there is growth. But I would always say there is a growth in jewelry. Diamonds, stones, gold are in the end it's selling everywhere in the world. So people still trust in jewelry and gold. And also I would say we can see that the price of the diamond increases just recently 10%. So we think this is maybe because of the shortage, or is it because of the demand? So we don't know yet. That's my point on this. Thank you, Jai.
Thank you, Doctor.
Mr. Sabyasachi, can I add here also?
Yes.
Actually, you were asking about the lab-grown diamonds. So lab-grown diamond jewelry is not very prevalent in the UAE markets. There was only one company which was doing it up to 4 months ago. They had only 2 retail showrooms. But about 3 or 4 months ago, Damas launched a lab-grown diamond jewelry line. And that created a lot of noise because they went with a very big, high value social media spend. And they are trying to popularize this. And there are a few other jewelers also who are trying to introduce this. So in a few months, we will be seeing some movement in the lab-grown diamond industry here. I think so. Yeah.
Thank you. Now my question is to Mr. Amit Damani. So just if you analyze the market, because you come from again that part of the spectrum. So in your opinion, see, we all know that UAE is primarily a plain gold jewelry market. But in your opinion, how it is progressing? Like if you talk about what is the preference? That means if we talk about the plain gold jewelry, how the shift, whether any shift is happening to studded gold jewelry, and if the shift is happening, in your opinion, what is the percentage between the two?
I think Sabyasachi, Dubai have moved much ahead from the gold jewelry segment only. Certainly, gold jewelry is one segment which India exports, and Dubai is a good size importer of that. Equally, Dubai is one of the largest importers of studded jewelry, and this is already prevalent from many years, which is nothing new. I think post 2000, 2004, 5, when the tourism movement started, that have attracted jewelry from around the world. So in studded jewelry, you can find the best of Italian manufacturers, French, Lebanese, Hong Kong, China, Thailand, India also, you name it. So there's a big variety of studded jewelry which is already available. Today, we also call Dubai not only city of gold, but jewelry destination of the world, This is where we have much ahead. So this segment, if you compare from 5 or 10 years ago, it have started from a very small base to have multiple fold where we are today. And where we will be going is again with another growth point is coming because of the mega events like Expo and so on and so forth. So we are very happy and proud to be in this market, and the leadership of the country looks forward. And we are having one of the most amazing customers in fine jewelry also, like we have in gold jewelry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Damani. So, Amit Bhai, it's of course, it's a good news to Indians also, because you know that we are the largest cutters and polisher of diamond. For us, it is always music to the ears wherever the studded jewelry market is also growing. So with this, I think we have a very fair amount of interaction, across basically. So it gives a fair amount of idea where the UAE is moving, and the India-UAE trade is moving, and the exports and the entire trade thereof. So if we take it forward from here, of course, all are very hopeful and gung-ho about future after COVID. So I now request Mansukh Kothari, the events panel convener, to just propose a vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Sabyasachi. Over the last many years, we have seen the relationship between UAE and the Indian has grown from strength to strength. Relation of both the countries are based on the shared culture, value, economic opportunity, regular political engagement, strong relations, and technological collaborations. Our effort through today's meeting is to further explore the opportunity and enhance the gem and jewelry trade between the both countries. This is the 9th India Global Connect. Earlier to this, we had a successfully organized meeting with United Kingdom, Switzerland, Angola, Colombia, Oman, Singapore, Morocco, and Saudi Arabia. And post this meeting, we have witnessed buyers from these countries participating at our online virtual trade shows and BSM. I am hopeful that India and UAE will look forward to engage more and strengthen trade further after this meeting. I would like to thank our distinguished panelists from the UAE and India for their participation at the India Global Connect. It was really a meaningful, insightful we had today. I express my gratitude to His Excellency, Mr. Pawan Kumar, Ambassador to UAE, esteemed dignitaries from Dubai Gold and Jewelry Group, our Chairman, Shri Colin Shah, for having an open discussion and sharing our views to how to further improve the gem and jewelry trade between the UAE and India. I especially thanks our Ramesh Bhai for all the support to organize this event. And as usual, Sabyasachi Ray for moderating this event. But not last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants from UAE and India for the support in making this event a successful. Thank you once again. Thank you. And I would like to look forward to everybody at the IGGS show in October from 11th to 13th October. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for joining. And of course, we continue this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.